Morning class. This is today's problem of the day. I'm going to go ahead and read it for you, and then I'll give you guys 10 minutes to work on it. So the problem is very similar. We're still working on the exact same teak that we've been focusing on throughout the week. We're going to continue to work on this teak until we've mastered it. So the problem is going to look very similar, except we've been changing the numbers. So this variance wrote 46 and 49 hundredths, or you can also say 46.49. Either way is acceptable in expanded notation as shown here. This is expanded notation. So they actually did the work for you already, which shows another way to express the value of the 3 in this number. So again, going back to our new place value chart and following the exact same strategy we learned this past 2 days, we're going to continue to do the exact same thing. So the very first thing you always want to do is you want to make sure you rewrite your number, right? Nice and big so that you have plenty of space to work with. Okay, so now that we have it here, the one thing you always want to do is make sure you analyze that decimal and understand how many place values to the left and how many place values to the right you have. In this particular case, we have 2 place values to the left, 2 place values to the right. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and bring the number up to the place value chart, keeping in mind where your decimal's at. So if I have the decimal here to the left, right, going to the left, my whole numbers, so we're going to call these whole numbers. To the right, these are decimals, right? And by the way, this is left, this is right. Okay, so to the left of the decimal, I have 46. So 46. To the right, I have 49 hundredths. So 49. Okay, so now I can go ahead and pause. Okay, so now going back to the original question, it's asking you another way to show the number 9. So that's the actual digit that we want to focus on and nothing else. So the 9, right, which is here, putting it back onto the place value chart, we notice that the 9 is on the H for hundredths, and there's 2 ways to demonstrate hundredths: in decimal form and in fraction form. Okay. Now up here in your expanded notation, you can see that it's already done for you in fraction form, which is here. Looking at the answer choices, we know that all of these are in decimal form. So now that I know that, I'm not going to look at my fraction because there's no need. I'm only going to simply look at the decimal form. Okay, so now that I look at the decimal form, right, I noticed that looking at my place value chart, right, we talked about eliminating answers that just don't make any sense. Big clue. I mentioned to you guys that in 4th grade, you're never going to see 3 decimal place values. You're never going to see 1, 2. You're never going to see a third one here, which is why, if you notice, your place value chart doesn't even have a spot for you to put a place value in the thousands place. It doesn't have a spot. So now that you know that we don't have 3 decimal place values after the decimal, looking at the answer choices, there's one answer on there that we can eliminate. D looks okay, C looks okay, B looks okay. Again, D has 1, 2, 3 place values after the decimal point. So I know that we're never going to do that in 4th grade. And so that we don't confuse ourselves, I'm just going to get rid of it. Right? So now I have 3 other answers. There's one more answer on here that I can automatically get rid of. Right? I know that I'm focusing on the 9. I'm focusing on the 9, which is here. And I also know that it's in the decimal spot, not in the whole numbers. So now that I know that I'm looking at my answers, which of these answers is the 9 in the whole number spot to the left of the decimal, right? Well, B is okay. C, look at that. That number 9 is actually in the whole number, so I can automatically get rid of it. I don't have to look at that anymore. D is still okay. Both D and B are in the decimals. Now I have to make a decision whether it's B or D. And again, going back to your decimal place value, there are 2 jumps, 2 spots to the right of the decimal. Looking at D, here's your decimal, 1, 2 spots to the right. So the correct answer for this problem is D. The 9 is in the hundreds place. B is actually in the tens, which is not what I'm looking. I'm looking for the hundreds up here. So I can justify my answer and say that B is also incorrect. All right, I hope you guys got a chance to work on this. We're going to go ahead and move on to today's lesson. Today is Thursday, October 1st, and today's objective of the day is today I will subtract decimals, including whole numbers, by utilizing the standard algorithm. Let's talk about this for a quick second. Subtract means to take away, right? Whole numbers are to the left of the decimal, and standard algorithm is when you line up, right, your decimals vertically. This is standard algorithm, right? That's the standard way of doing it. A few vocabulary words that you need to know before we begin. A decimal number is a number in the base 10 place value system used to represent a quantity that may include part of a whole, and is recorded with a decimal point separating the whole from the part. So to give you an example, this is 8 wholes, and then here's my decimal representation, and here's parts of a whole. So again, part of a whole, so this is the part of a whole, right? And it's separated. It's recorded with a decimal point. It's got to have the decimal point. If it does not have a decimal point, it is not a decimal number. The second vocabulary word you need to know is trailing zeros. In yesterday's lesson, we talked to you about adding zeros where they're not there, right, to fill in that gap. The actual vocabulary term for that is called trailing zeros. It's a sequence of zeros in the decimal part of a number that follow the last non-zero digit, and whether recorded or deleted does not change the value of the number. We'll talk about that more as we progress to this lesson, but that is today's objective of the day. Okay, these are your process steps. We went over them yesterday. You have 5 process steps. We're going to talk to them individually as we move on, but just know that they are here. You can pause the video here and take 5 minutes to read it by yourself. Okay, hopefully everyone got a chance to read the process steps. Let's go ahead and take a look at those individually. So today, part of the objective is we're actually going to be looking only at subtraction, right? Subtraction, meaning taking away. All 3 of these equations here, although they are in horizontal equation form, they're all subtraction because we know there is the subtraction sign, that is the universal subtraction sign. Here, what we're doing is the very first step you want to do is, again, line up all your decimal points, including below the last line, right? So what you should do in your journal is you should draw your line, right? Then you put your subtraction sign, and then you want to make sure you put your decimal lines, right, all in the same plane, all in the same line, in a straight single line. That's the first thing you need to do, nothing else. Second step, place all digits into their correct values. So for this example right here, after you've done your line, after you put your decimal points, after you put your subtraction, you look at how many times it jumped and you place it there. You looked at how many times it jumped and you place it there, right? I want you to notice that when you subtract, you always want to put the larger number on top. This example up here, right, although 1.07 has more digits, does not necessarily mean that it's a bigger number. Because on this particular number, to the left of the decimal, it's $5 whole. To the left of the decimal here is only $1. So what's bigger, $5 or $1? Right? $5 is bigger, so you place that on top. And you place the $1.07 at the bottom. So that's all step 2, is making sure you put them in the correct place value. Step number 3, balance your numbers, right? Add the 0 in the empty spaces. And again, we talked about that vocabulary word, and we actually call that trailing zeros, right? We mentioned it earlier, but there are 2 ways you can say it. You can just say, hey, I'm gonna put a 0 in the empty space, or I'm gonna make sure that I'm trailing my zeros. So for example number 1, is 7/10 minus 1/10. There is no need for me to put a trailing zero because everything looks perfectly aligned. So this one is good to go. Number 2, right? 5 wholes and 2/10 minus 1 whole and 7/100. I noticed that here, in this particular spot right there is a zero that needs to be inputted there, right? So you go ahead and put it. That's all step 3 is. Looking at the third example, same thing. There is a digit missing there. So again, trailing zeros, you go ahead and add your 0. That is all for step 3. Moving on. You have to think, are you increasing or decreasing? Decreasing again is red. That means subtracting. And we know that because that is the universal sign for subtraction. So that means that when you're finished, your answer should be smaller. Always, always, always. You're going from a larger number to a smaller number. You're decreasing. You're getting smaller. So if your answer is bigger, you probably add it. So you might want to go back and check. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at an example. I'm going to go ahead and model one for you, and then you'll get a chance to work on one by yourself. So I have 9/10 minus 3/10. First thing you want to do is line up your decimals, right? Line up your decimals, draw your line, put your subtraction sign, and then you want to go ahead and start with the biggest number, which is here, right? To the left of the decimal, to the right of the decimal, write immediately the digits are there. Now I do my second number, and again, to the left of the number is a 0, to the right of the number there's a 3, and I place it. There is no need for me to put any trailing zeros because they're all the same length, so I could just go ahead and go and take away. When I take away if I have $9 and I'll take away $3, I'm going to be left with 6. And you're done. Let's look at a second example really quick. I have $6.07 or 6 7/10, 3 wholes and 82/100. This was going to look a little tricky. Again, even though this one has 3 digits and this one only has 2, the way you determine which of these two numbers is bigger is you always look at the whole numbers, right? Think about dollar. Either or, these are going to be coins, right? But when you wanna look at the numbers, you always look at the dollars. That's going to determine which one's bigger. So in this case, $6 is bigger. So the bigger number always goes on top. So it'll be 6.7. Then I have to bring down the other number. So to the left is a 3. So to the left is a 3. To the right of the decimal, I actually have 2 digits. So I'm going to place 2 digits. And now what do you notice? I notice that in the number above, I am actually missing a 0. So I'm going to go ahead and add it, right? And now I'm going to subtract. If I have $0, right? If I have $0, and you're trying to take away $2 from me, you're not going to be able to get any because I don't have any money. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and regroup, borrow from your neighbor. You're going to say, hey, neighbor, number 7, can I borrow money? The neighbor says, yes, here you go. You can have 10, right? So all of a sudden, he doesn't have any more. He loses 1, and the 0 combined with the 10, you start with 10. So now we're going to go ahead and take away, subtract. $10, take away $8. $2, I'm sorry, it's 8. Again, now you're going to look at the top number. You got rid of that, so now you have $6. Take away $8. You're not going to be able to do that again. So you regroup again. You borrow from the 6. Now this guy turns into a 5, and this guy turns into a 16. 16 take away 8 is exactly 8, right? And then you subtract your whole numbers. $5 minus $3 equals $2. So your final answer is 2 wholes and 88/100 or 2.88. Okay, guys. Go ahead and pause the video and work on this problem on your journal. I'll check back with you back on Monday to see if you got it correct. Good luck. Pause it. I mean it. Pause it. Pause it. Pause it. Okay, guys, so now what we need you guys to do is we need you to go ahead and go to your Forward.sd apps and click on Path Placer. Once you click on Path Placer, go to week 4 folders, select Thursday, October 1st, begin the activity, and take the quiz. Good luck. We will see you back tomorrow.